mentioned in my statement at the plenary today, the plans for the meeting have just been so meticulous, so exemplary, so rigorous that every detail has been taken care of from the time we arrived. There's just been a systematic approach to how we were met, how we were accommodated, how the meetings and the bilaterals. So I think it's a good example for many of our countries to see how well to plan an event.
Now, I mentioned a little earlier about the first and the second summits that were held. The first one in 1977 and the second one in 2010. Could you touch on the previous two summits and the outcomes that were achieved from those two summits?
Well, in the 2010 summit that was held in CERT, we agreed upon a plan for Arab-Africa cooperation. I guess one may say that while the plan was good, the follow-up, because of circumstances that took place after the summit, that they were not realized. The Cairo meeting attempted to put some emphasis on agriculture, and we think that's very well placed. And so I believe this third summit presents an opportunity to really be more action-oriented. While some other summits have had good plans, good resolutions, good commitments, I hope that Kuwait, as the leader of the third summit, will move all of those good aspirations into real action and into results.
Could I ask you, why do you think it took so long to host these three summits in such a big time frame, considering the geographical proximity of the African continent and the Arab world, and the close cultural and historic relations between the two?
The increasing demands for international meetings. You know, all of our countries are involved, are engaged in so many meetings in our regions, international fora. There's so many things that are going on, and a summit has to have the participation of heads of states. And so heads of states are so busy today, it's very difficult. But as I also said, after the CERT meeting, there were some difficulties that took place with Libya, and so that may also have affected the process of trying to get another summit going.
Considering the past 2 years and the developments that have happened over the past 2 years, can you explain to our viewers a little bit about the current political and economic situation in Africa in general and in Liberia in particular?
Let me say that today Africa is enjoying a renaissance of a sort. I think if you look at all the statistics that are being released on the basis of economic performance, it's very clear that Africa's growth is now in excess of that of other regions. I think this comes as a result of two decades of economic and political reform that have been very tough on Africa. But those very difficult decisions and commitments that were made, those policy that have been put into place are now showing results. Not only is our country growing, but over 30 African countries now, you might say, are democracies, in which several of them have experienced more than 2 peaceful transformation of power. And so today, that our growth is of such that we now are moving to what we call a transformative stage. What Africa needs now is development of infrastructure. That deficit is perhaps more profound in Western and Central Africa, but the ability to move goods and services across our borders because of the lack of sufficient power, sufficient good roads, That's what's preventing us from adding value to our very rich natural resources. That's what Africa is rich in. And once we can move from being exporters of primary commodities into value-added manufactured products and become industrial states. We do have some industrial states, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and more. But to have most of our countries become competitive in the area of manufacturing, I think will ensure that we can sustain that growth. And by sustaining the growth, we can also sustain our democracy. Liberia has come a long way from the difficult days before 2006, when we had a democratic election. Today, we too in Liberia are growing. We've grown at a rate of 7.5% over the past 4 years. We are a natural resource-rich country, but we also are constrained by the same lack of infrastructure, power, roads, ports, and education, because our systems, health systems, education system were destroyed. We are rebuilding, and the growth is a manifestation of the fact we have attracted investment on the order of 16 billion over the past 4 years, direct foreign investment. It's been slow in trying to get those investment to actually turn into full operations, to create the jobs and to build the infrastructure. But we feel confident that we're on the right path. Liberia is a free, open society today. People's basic freedoms are respected. And so we have all the ingredients to be able to become a post-conflict success story. And that's what we continue to work on. Our relationship, not only with our neighbors, where we were all part of a war, is excellent. We've restored most of our diplomatic relations. We're very glad that Kuwait and the other Arab states, where we had lost diplomatic relations over the years of our conflict, that those are being restored. Today we have Kuwait, Qatar, and all that have appointed ambassadors to our country. We have ambassadors in their countries, and so we think Liberia is well placed to become a successful country. We just need to keep on course, maintain the peace, maintain our stable macroeconomic policies, continue to make progress for our people, and we should be okay.
Well, no doubt that Liberia does have a bright future. If we could come back to this summit now, the third Africa Arab Summit. One of the biggest challenges that the African continent faces is sustainable development. Do you think that this summit will play a vital role in tackling this challenge, or other such challenges that are currently, prolonging the development of the African continent?
The summit does provide an opportunity for all the participating countries to re-emphasize and reiterate their commitment to shared values and shared goals. It presents an opportunity for the types of not only statements that are made in the plenaries, but for the bilateral meetings that are held in the margins of the summit that enable one again to reactivate or to expand bilateral relationships that are important for sustainable development. I think all summits, even though they represent us having an opportunity to present our views, also represent a good opportunity for the exchange of experiences, to share in the richness of other people's development processes, their successes, their failures, how we learn from those, and how we can then go back home and try to revise and expand upon our own development agenda, how we can promote regional integration, how we can promote trade among our countries, which are not at the level, because we still have historical trading arrangements, but how do we break those and begin to trade among ourselves? And so I'm always an optimist that the summits provide good opportunities that enable us to enhance our effort to achieve our goals.
Now, Your Excellency has been a big advocate on women's rights. Do you think this issue will play a role in this summit? And what are some of the main issues that you have raised in your plenary that you would like the summit to tackle?
Since we're talking about women's role, let me say that this summit has built upon the meeting in Cairo that talked about the importance of agriculture and food security. That's where women play a major role in Africa. Women today are indeed the farmers, the marketeers, those that play a large part in ensuring food sufficiency. Market women in our country and in West Africa are the most resilient. They remain to a large extent in the informal sector, but I think meetings that focus on agriculture and food security must realize that we must do more to give women the access to the factors of production, credit, land, technology, and to move them to the formal sector where they become commercial farmers and they can move, and enhance their own per capita income and their own livelihoods. This summit where we have talked about this will enable us to go back home and to look at our policies and see how we can be more informed in ensuring that those policies work for our women.
Now, at the start of the interview, you mentioned or you touched on Kuwait's role in the African continent and in Liberia in particular. How do you evaluate Kuwait's role in general, specifically the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, which has provided assistance to around 50 African states in total, as well as other charitable organizations based in Kuwait?
Kuwait is a long-term partner, and I think that's important. One that is consistent in its support. And I say so because Liberia is a good example. Liberia's support from Kuwait came in the mid-70s. I was then the Minister of Finance. I signed the first loan between the Kuwait Fund and Liberia. We lost that relationship because of our conflict. But immediately after the conflict, Kuwait came back and said, we're going to pick up on that relationship and we start again. And so today we have a good relation with the Kuwaiti Fund. That's consistency, that's commitment, that's reliability. And those are the partners we want. Partners that are with you for the long run, partners that commit to being with you even when there are difficulties and they have to draw back, but when those difficulties pass, they help you through. And so I expect that Kuwait will continue to be a major player and a major friend and supporter of African development.
And now you also mentioned about the food security in Egypt that they were discussing. Where is it now, the situation in Africa regarding food shortages and regarding poverty? And have there been any results achieved so far at this summit to face these issues head on?
Well, for the most part, Africa still remains food insecure. And I think this is why the emphasis at this summit is to put some emphasis on agriculture, on food security, on women. Today our population is young and many of them unemployed. How do we try to channel many of our young people into these areas? The summit will provide the opportunity for exchange of experiences and views and commitments. It's now up to the rest of us to go back to our countries and revisit our policies and try to see how we can enhance them consistent with the summit's own commitment and resolutions and whatnot. So once again, as I say, the summits are good things for these exchanges. And we hope that there will be now more regular meetings, unlike the past when there were some interruptions, and that we can all now go back knowing that, 4 years from now, when there's another summit, we'll be able to come back and hopefully talk about the progress that motivated us as a result of the discussion at today's summit.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and we would like to thank you from everybody at the English News Department at the Ministry of Information for your gracious time and this interview that you conducted with us.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you.